So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him.
Shalom Israel, it's your boy Hopeful Elect 144 here. I want to share a video today on a great breakdown on the 144,000 from a brother named King Obadiah. This is his channel, so check him out. Also watch the vid and stay tuned to the end of the vid so I can add my input to the vid. You got any questions, feel free to comment below. Shalom.
Shalom Yasharallah. Kal Halal Abba Hayahaya Yahweh Bahashem Hamashiach Yahawashi. I'm King Obadiah, bringing to the elect of Israel the Most High's truth. This lesson is dealing with Yahawashi's 144,000 kings. This is dealing with the duties of the 144,000 kings and what we are going to do in Yahawashi's heavenly kingdom. So let's bring it out. Isaiah 9 verse 6. For unto us a child is born. That's talking about Yahawashi. Unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. So Yahawashi is going to have a government, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. The reason Yahawashi is going to be called the Prince of Peace is because the Israelite rulers and the Gentile servants are going to get along in the heavenly kingdom. We're going to get along. And the reason we're going to get along is because the Most High in Yahawashi is going to make sure that the Gentile servants understand their place in the heavenly kingdom. Of the increase of his government, okay, of the increase of Yahawashi's government and peace, there shall be no end. Okay, so of the increase of Yahawashi's government, of the increase of Yahawashi's government, this is talking about Yahawashi is going to have a pretty big government. Okay, it's not going to be just 144,000 kings. Yahawashi's government is also going to be the 24 elders, and of the 24 elders, there's going to be the 12 apostles. And the 12 apostles is going to be a part of the 24 elders. And there's going to be 12 more elders added to that. Within Yahawashi's government, you're going to have the 24 elders, King David, the 144,000 kings, and the princes of Israel, and the priests of Israel, and the rulers of Israel, and the judges of Israel, and the officers of Israel. Yahawashi's government, this is dealing with Hebrew Israelite men, okay? The elect men of Israel. So basically what this is saying is Yahawashi's government is going to be comprised of the elect men of Israel. So he's going to have a pretty big government. Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end. Okay, that means Yahawashi's government is going to increase and increase and increase. That's what it's saying. Okay, and it's never going to end as well. Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Most High of armies will perform this. The throne of David. When it says the throne of David, which is also the tabernacle of David, this is dealing with the house of David, which is the 12 tribes of Israel. This is dealing with Hebrew Israelite descendants. The Most High sent a word into Jacob, and it hath lighted upon Israel. Okay, so this tells you who the government, this tells you who Yahawashi's government is going to be. Yahawashi is going to have a government, and his government is going to be upon the throne of David, the house of David, the tabernacle of David, and that represents the 12 tribes of Israel. And to further confirm who Yahawashi's government is going to be, in verse 8, it also says that this word is going into Jacob, okay, the 12 tribes of Israel. and it hath lighted upon Israel. This is also dealing with the 12 tribes of Israel. So the house of David, the house of Jacob, the house of Israel, this is all dealing with the 12 tribes of Israel and no one else. So Yahawashi's government is going to be ran by the 12 tribes of Israel, the descendants of Jacob, and no one else. His government only goes to the descendants of Jacob. Okay? And this is going to be an everlasting government. Okay? An everlasting kingdom, an everlasting rulership, even forever. And this goes only to the 12 tribes of Israel, the descendants of Jacob. No other nations. Zechariah chapter 8. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23. Thus saith the Most High of hosts, okay, or the Most High of armies. That word hosts is dealing with the word armies. Thus saith the Most High of armies, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men, okay, the 10 men is talking about 10 Gentiles. In those days it shall come to pass that 10 Gentiles shall take hold out of all the languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt, even shall take hold of the garment of him that is a Jew. Okay, that word Jew is dealing with a descendant of Jacob, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. So if you have 10 Gentiles taking hold of the garment of him that is a descendant of Jacob, this tells you who the rulers of the kingdom are going to be. Okay, it's very clear that the Jews, the Hebrew Israelite Jews, are the rulers, and the Gentiles are the servants and handmaids. Okay, this is going to be forever, for all eternity. Now, we all know that in the 1,000-year reign, the Gentiles are going to be handmaids and servants. But understand this, even after the 1,000-year reign, even after the 1,000-year reign, the Jews, the Hebrew Israelite Jews, are going to still be above all the Gentile nations. This is why you have 10 Gentiles taking hold out of all the languages of the nations. This is why you have 10 Gentiles taking hold of the garment of him that is a Jew, a descendant of Jacob, because the Jews are the rulers, okay, for all eternity. Okay, this is even after the 1,000-year reign. We are still going to be above the Gentiles. And this is after the 1,000-year reign as well. And I had to bring this out for you Gentiles out there, just so you understand that even after the 1,000-year reign, the Jews are still going to be over you. The Jews are still going to be over the Gentiles out of all languages of the nations. We're going to be over you for all eternity. Okay? Not just the 1,000-year reign, but after the 1,000-year reign as well. Revelation 7, verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Now this 144,000 are Hebrew Israelite kings. Now from verse 5 all the way down to verse 8, it goes through the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Okay, and these are all Hebrew Israelite kings. Verse 9, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations. Okay, see those two words right there, all nations? I'm going to tell you what that's talking about in a minute. Of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, which is Yahawashi, clothed in white robes and palms in their hands. In Revelation 7, verse 9, when it says all nations, this is talking about, it's literally talking about all nations. Now in Revelation 7 verse 9, when it says all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, in this verse, it's literally talking about all nations, okay, including the Hebrew Israelite nation as well. Now in Revelation 7 verses 5 through 8, notice that the 144,000 kings of Israel are listed first, okay? And then you got the Israelite nation, which is also listed in all the nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues. Well, the Israelite nation is in there too, in verse 9. And you also have all the Gentile nations as well. So what Revelation 7 is talking about is this. The 144,000 of the 12 tribes of Israel are leaders and kings and judges of all the Gentile nations. Okay? All the Gentile nations. Now let's find out who these Gentiles are in Revelation 7 verse 9. Let's find out who the Gentiles are that this is talking about. Isaiah 14 verses 1 and 2. Now, Isaiah 14 verses 1 and 2 is dealing with both high class handmaids and servants, okay? High class handmaids and servants of the Gentiles, and also low class Gentile slaves. So Isaiah 14, 1 and 2 is telling the 12 tribes of Israel, we're going to have both high class handmaids and servants and also low class Gentile slaves. Let's bring it out. For the Most High will have mercy on Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers, okay, the strangers are the Gentiles, shall be joined with them. The strangers are the Gentiles that were chosen by the Most High to serve Yahawashi and the 12 tribes of Israel. That's who the strangers are. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Okay? Now these strangers, the Gentiles that's going to cleave to the house of Jacob, are Gentiles that were chosen by the Most High to serve Yahawashi and the 12 tribes of Israel. And the people shall take them, the Israelites shall take them, the Gentiles, and bring them to their place. And we're going to bring them to Israel, Jerusalem, and the house of Israel shall possess them. Okay? The Israelites are going to possess, own the Gentiles in the land of the Most High for servants and handmaids. These are high class Gentile servants and handmaids. Okay? High class servants and handmaids. And this is before this is all before the semicolon. Everything before the semicolon up to verse 1, this is dealing with high class handmaids and servants. Now, everything after the semicolon in Isaiah 14 and 2, everything after that semicolon is dealing with low class slaves. These are slaves that are going to be put in chains, and they shall take them captives. Okay, they, the Israelites, shall take them, the low class Gentile slaves, captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Okay, Israel, Isaiah 14, 1 and 2 is telling us before the semicolon that the Israelites, the descendants of Jacob, are going to have high class Gentile servants and handmaids. And after that semicolon right there, it also tells us that we're going to have low class captives of the Gentiles. So we're going to get both high class servants and handmaids and low class Gentile captives. Amos 9, verses 11 and 12. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David. The tabernacle of David is the 12 tribes of Israel. That is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I will raise up his ruins and I will build it as in the days of old. So this is talking about Israel coming out of captivity under the Gentiles and getting our land back, that they, the Israelites, may possess, own the remnant of Edom, the remnant of the Gentiles that are left out of Edom, and of all the heathen, okay, and of all the Gentile nations, which are called by my name, okay. What is that talking about? Called by my name. This is talking, when it says which are called by my name, it is talking about the Gentiles that the Most High chose to serve Yahawashi and the 12 tribes of Israel, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen, which are called by my name. This is Gentiles that were chosen by the Most High to serve Yahawashi and the 12 tribes of Israel. Saith the Almighty that doeth this. The Most High is the one that's doing this. The Most High is the one that set this up. Okay? He's the one that's doing this. That's choosing out of the Gentile nations, out of Edom and out of all the Gentile nations, who is going to serve Yahawashi and the Israelites in the heavenly kingdom. So this is coming from the Most High. The Gentiles, the heathen, which are called by my name, which is called by the Most High's name, that is dealing with Gentiles that are chosen by the Most High to serve Yahawashi and the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, just so we're clear on that. Genesis chapter 27, verses 28 to 30. Therefore the Most High give thee the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. Verse 28 is dealing with the riches of the earth. Verse 29. Let people serve thee. The people are the Gentiles. And nations bow down to thee. The nations are all the Gentile nations that are going to bow down to Jacob. Let people serve thee. Let the Gentiles serve the Israelites. And nations, all Gentile nations, bow down to the Israelites. That's what this is saying. And nations bow down to thee. The Lord, okay, that word Lord means master. The Lord, master over thy brethren, okay, over all the Gentile nations. That's what this is talking about. This is talking about the Lords are the Israelites, and we're going to be masters over all the Gentile nations. And let thy mother's sons are all the Gentile nations, again, bow down to thee. Okay, notice that in verse 29 is saying that all the Gentile nations are going to bow down to thee, the Israelites. Okay, and it even says it a second time, bow down to thee, the Israelites. Okay, so all the nations are going to serve. All the nations are going to serve and bow down and worship the Israelites. And it says it twice. So there's no misunderstandings. Okay? The Gentiles are going to serve the Israelites. All the Gentiles, all the Gentile nations, the Gentiles, all the Gentile nations are going to serve the Israelites. It says so right there. And nations, all the Gentile nations are going to bow down and worship the Israelites. Okay, it says so right there. Bow down to thee. It even says it twice. Bow down to thee, the Israelites. The Gentile nations are going to bow down to thee, the Israelites. It says it twice, right there. And the Israelites are going to be lords, masters over thy brethren, okay? The Gentiles, all the Gentile nations. And let thy mother's sons, all the Gentile nations, bow down and worship. Okay? Bow down to thee, the Israelites. Every time when it says bow down, it's talking about worship. Cursed be everyone that curses thee. That's talking about the Gentiles. Okay? Cursed be what it really means is cursed be every Gentile that curses thee, that curses an Israelite. And blessed be every Gentile that blesses thee, blesses the Israelites. Verse 30. And it came to pass as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob. Okay, so this is Jacob's blessing. Jacob's blessing is rulership over the earth in verse 28, and in verse 29, rulership over the Gentiles. Okay, no way around it. The Gentiles are going to serve the Israelites, and they're going to bow down and worship the Israelites, and it even says it twice. And the Israelites, basically the Israelites are going to be a curse to every Gentile that curses us, and a blessing to every Gentile that blesses us. That's what this is saying. And this blessing goes to Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, same chapter, Genesis 27, verse 36. And he said, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. And behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. Now, in verse 36, this is Esau that's talking. He's talking to Isaac. And Esau represents all the Gentile nations combined. When it talks about Esau, it's also talking about all the Gentile nations, all the Gentiles, all of them combined, not just Esau, okay, and not just the Edomites. It's talking about all the Gentile nations combined. So Esau is saying, is he, Jacob, rightly named Jacob? Okay, now it says he took away my birthright. Esau is saying he took away my birthright. What is the birthright? The birthright is being the chosen nation of the Most High. That's the birthright, to be the chosen nation of the Most High. Well, that birthright goes to Jacob. And behold, now he has taken away my blessing. The blessing is rulership over the earth, complete rulership over the earth, and rulership over the Gentiles. Complete rulership over the Gentiles. Okay, that we just read starting in the same chapter, verse 29. Verse 28, rulership over the earth, and verse 29, rulership over the Gentiles. Now, after Esau complained about Jacob taking his birthright and his blessing, Isaac answered Esau in verse 37 and said this, behold, I have made him, Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, thy Lord, okay, thy master, and all his brethren, all the Gentile nations, have I given him for servants, okay, servants and handmaids. And this is the blessing that Isaac gave to Jacob, okay, and that blessing goes back to verse 29. All the Gentiles are going to become our servants in the heavenly kingdom. Isaac tells Esau, behold, I have made him, Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, thy Lord, okay, thy master over all the Gentile nations. And all his brethren, all the Gentiles, have I given to him for servants, okay, servants and handmaids. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. In verse 37, Isaac blessed Jacob with both rulership of the Gentiles, okay, and rulership of the earth. With corn and wine I have sustained him. That's rulership over the earth. And the rulership over the Gentiles is I have made him, the 12 tribes of Israel, thy Lord, okay, thy master over all the Gentile nations. And Isaac gave to Jacob all the Gentiles for servants and handmaids. Okay, servants and handmaids in the heavenly kingdom. So now that we understand who the Gentiles are that's going to cleave to the house of Jacob, we understand that they're going to be handmaids and servants. Let's get back to the lesson on the 144,000 kings. Now we understand that in Revelation 7, verses 5 through 8, the 144,000 kings are the leaders and the kings and the judges and masters, according to Genesis 27, of all the Gentile nations that are going to be handmaids and servants and also captives to the 12 tribes of Israel, which is mentioned in Revelation 7, verses 5 through 8, the 144,000 kings, and also in verse 9, which includes the rest of the Israelite nation as well. The rest of the men of Israel, which are princes, priests, masters, rulers, judges, officers, and so on and so forth. Basically, all Hebrew Israelite men of the elect nation of Israel. And also, in addition to the Hebrew Israelite men, which are the rulers, you also have the Israelite women, children, and babies in verse 9 as well. Basically, Revelation 7, verses 5 through 8 and verse 9 is dealing with the 1/3 elect of Israel. You got the 144,000 kings mentioned first before the Gentile nations, because the 144,000 kings are rulers, masters, kings, and judges over all the Gentiles. Okay, and you also have the elect nation of Israel, the men, the women, the children, and the babies of Israel, that's mentioned in verse 9 as well. So this is how it's going to go in the Most High's throne room. In the Most High's throne room, you're going to have the 144,000 kings out front, okay? And behind the 144,000 kings, you're going to have the nation of Israel. And behind the nation of Israel, you're going to have the Gentile nations. This is what Revelation 7, verses 4 all the way down to 9 is talking about. Now, the precept for all the Gentile nations in Revelation 7, verse 9, the precept for the Gentile nations is Revelation 17, verse 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations, all the Gentile nations and tongues. This is talking about the Gentiles. Now, the breakdown on this is the waters. The waters is dealing with the 7 continents on which the nations sit. The earth has 7 continents, and in those 7 continents, all the Gentile nations sit on the waters. The waters, 7 continents on which all the Gentile nations sit, which thou sawest, where the whore, okay, the whore is talking about Babylon, America, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Now, what this verse means when it says the whore sitteth is saying that America controls all 7 continents by the American embassies that are in all 7 continents. Now, the explanation on where the whore sitteth is dealing with Babylon, America. Okay, Babylon the Great, the whore that sitteth. Okay, the 7 continents sits on all the waters of the earth. So America, the whore, sits on the waters of the 7 continents. America controls all 7 continents that sits upon the waters with America's 800 plus American embassies. So this is what verse 15 is talking about. Revelation 5. Revelation 5 gives us the precept for the Israelite nation in Revelation 7, verse 9. So Revelation 5, verse 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain, this is talking about Yahawashi, and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. Now, verse 9 is talking about the Israelites. The Israelites that were redeemed by Yahawashi to the Most High by Yahawashi's blood out of, keywords, out of all nations, all Gentile nations. Revelation 5 verse 9 is dealing with the Israelites in Revelation 7 verse 9. Now, the key to understanding Revelation 7 verse 9 is Revelation 5 verses 9 and 10. And Revelation 5 is dealing only with the Israelites, not the Gentiles, only the Israelites. So Revelation 5 verses 9 and 10. And we've already went through the verse 9. So Revelation 5 verse 10. And has made us unto our Most High kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. The Israelites are going to reign in Yahawashi's 1,000-year reign. Now, with the understanding that Revelation 5 verses 9 and 10 is dealing with the Israelites, this tells us that the 144,000 are going to be kings and priests. Well, actually, the 144,000 are going to be kings, and has made us unto our almighty kings and priests. Now, verse 10 is talking about the 144,000 that are going to be kings, and it's also talking about the rest of the nation of Israel that's going to be princes and priests, judges, rulers, masters, and owners of the Gentiles. Revelation 5 verses 9 and 10, which is dealing only with the Israelites, who are going to be kings and princes, priests, masters, judges, rulers, officers, and owners of the Gentiles. Well, this goes back to Revelation 7 verses 5 all the way to 9. In Revelation 7 verses 5 to 8 are the Hebrew Israelite kings. And in verse 9, you get the princes and the priests and the masters and the judges and the rulers and the owners of all the Gentiles. So let's go through this one more time. Revelation 7 verse 9. The precepts for Revelation 7 verse 9, well, it's dealing with both the Hebrew Israelite nation and all the Gentile nations that are going to be servants and handmaids to the Israelites, is Revelation 17 verse 15, where America sits on the waters of the 7 continents of all the Gentile nations. And Revelation 5 verses 9 and 10, where the Israelites are going to be kings of the Gentiles under Yahawashi, and we're also going to be princes, priests, masters, rulers, judges, owners, officers, and basically we're just going to rule over the Gentiles. This is what this verse is saying. Kings and priests over the Gentiles. Kings and masters, rulers, owners, judges. You know, it is what it is. The Gentiles, they don't know any of this stuff. The Gentiles just can't seem to put these scriptures together, but Revelation 5 verses 9 and 10 is very clear. Okay, the Israelites are going to be kings and princes and priests and judges and officers and masters and rulers over all the Gentiles. Okay, over all the Gentiles. Now this verse, Revelation 5 verse 9, goes right back to Revelation 7 verse 9. Okay, so there's no way around that. The 144,000 and the nation of Israel are rulers over all the Gentile nations. And this rulership goes to the men of Israel. You can plainly see in Revelation 7 that the 144,000 kings and also the elect nation of Israel is going to be kings and princes and priests and rulers and masters and judges and owners over all the Gentile nations. Okay, there's no way around that. So when the heavenly kingdom comes, this is what's going to happen in the throne room of the Most High. You're going to have the 144,000 kings first, okay, and then the Israelites behind the 144,000 kings, the Israelite nation, and then the Gentiles behind the Israelite nation. So that's what's going on in Revelation 7, verses 5 all the way down to 9. Revelation 14, verses 1 to 4. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having his father's name written in their foreheads. And we already understand that the 144,000 are Hebrew Israelite kings. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits of Israel unto the Most High and to the Lamb. So when it says that the 144,000 kings are the first fruits to the Most High and to Yahawashi, it's also saying that the Israelites are the first fruits of the kingdom under Yahawashi. Under the Most High and under Yahawashi, the Israelites are the first fruits in the kingdom, above the Gentiles. Now, within the Israelite nation, the 144,000 are the first fruits to the Most High and Yahawashi within the Israelite nation itself. But in the Israelite kingdom, the nation of Israel is the first fruits to the Most High and to Yahawashi above the Gentiles. And that's what this verse is saying. Jeremiah 31, verse 4. Again, I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O virgin of Israel. Okay, so the virgin is Israel. Okay, and you go right back to Revelation 14, verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women. Okay, and this is dealing with the Israelites only. And the 144,000 are the first fruits to the Most High and Yahawashi. This is also saying the nation of Israel is the first fruits to the Most High and Yahawashi above the Gentiles. Revelation 5, verse 10, and has made us, the Israelites, the descendants of Jacob, unto our Almighty kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. Now the precept for Revelation 5, verse 10, kings and priests, the precept for that is Revelation 1, verse 6, and has made us kings and priests unto Yahawashi and his Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever, Selah. Now the precept for Revelation 1, verse 6, dealing with the priests unto Yahawashi and his Father, goes to 1 Peter 2, verse 9. But ye, the Israelites, are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people. And the precept for 1 Peter 2 and 9 is Exodus 19, verse 5. Verse 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine. I understand when he says, ye, the Israelites, will be a peculiar treasure unto the Most High above all the Gentiles, for all the earth is mine. Where it says all the earth is mine, it's talking about both the earth and all the Gentile nations. All the Gentile nations and all the earth, when he says all the earth is mine. Now the Most High says that we're going to be a peculiar treasure. And the understanding on that verse is verse 6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. So the children of Israel is going to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation and a peculiar treasure to the Most High above all people. Okay, and you get that out of Exodus chapter 19. Okay, in Exodus 19, where the Israelite nation, the children of Israel, is going to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation and a peculiar treasure unto the Most High above all the Gentiles. Well, this verse goes back to Revelation 1, verse 6, and has made us kings and priests unto Yahawashi and his Father. Now, in Revelation 1, verse 5, it says that Yahawashi is the prince of the kings of the earth. The kings of the earth are the 144,000 Israelite kings. Those are the kings of the earth that Yahawashi is the prince of. And these are Israelite kings of the earth, Israelite kings of the Gentiles. Okay? Remember, we're a nation of kings and priests unto Yahawashi and his Father. So Yahawashi is the prince of the kings, okay, the 144,000 kings of the earth, of all the Gentile nations. Now, if you want to get the understanding on the kings of the earth, the 144,000 being the kings of the earth, the precept for this verse in Revelation 1, verse 5, the precept for Revelation 1, verse 5, the kings of the earth, is Psalm chapter 2, verse 10. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Now, when it says judges of the earth, okay, to the 144,000 kings, when it says judges of the earth, it's talking about judges of the Gentiles. Okay, so the 144,000 kings are judges of the Gentiles. We're kings and judges of the Gentiles under Yahawashi. Okay, and see that lowercase k? That lowercase k is dealing with the 144,000 kings. Okay, Psalm chapter 2, verse 10. O ye kings, ye judges of the earth. Okay, so the Israelite kings, the 144,000 kings, are going to be kings over all the Gentile nations under Yahawashi, and we're also going to be, guess what? Judges of all the Gentiles as well. We're going to be judges of the earth. When it says judges of the earth, it's talking about judges of the Gentiles. So in Psalm chapter 2, verse 10, the 144,000 kings of Israel are also going to be judges of all the Gentile nations. Okay? And that's a part of what the 144,000 kings are going to be. Now, to get the precept on Psalm chapter 2, verse 10, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. To get the precept on that, we have to go to Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon 6. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand, learn, ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. This is where Psalm chapter 2 is being quoted. Psalm chapter 2 is quoting Wisdom of Solomon 6. Okay, Psalm chapter 2, verse 10, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth, is quoting Wisdom of Solomon 6, verse 1. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand, learn, ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. So the 144,000 kings are also judges of all the Gentile nations, the ends of the earth. Give ear, ye that rule the people. Okay, ye 144,000 kings that's going to rule all the Gentiles, and glory in the multitude of nations. Okay, and we're going to glory also in the multitude of the Gentiles. So Wisdom of Solomon 6 is really describing what the 144,000 kings are. Verse 3, for power is given you of Yahawashi, and sovereignty from the highest, the Most High. Who shall try your works and search out your counsels? Okay, power is given to the 144,000 kings by Yahawashi, and sovereignty from the Most High. That's what that verse is saying. Verse 4, because being ministers of his kingdom, the 144,000 kings are ministers of Yahawashi's kingdom. Verse 9, unto you therefore, O kings, do I speak, that ye may learn wisdom and not fall away. So this is definitely dealing with the 144,000 kings. Verse 20, therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. So an Israelite king that desires the kingdom, well, he's going to seek wisdom. The desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. An Israelite king who desires the kingdom is going to seek wisdom. Straight up. Verse 21, if your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore. This is 100% talking about the 144,000 kings of Revelation 7. Okay, and we know it's talking about the kings of Revelation 7 because it says that the kings of Revelation 7 are going to reign forevermore. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, the 144,000 kings are going to sit on thrones in the heavenly kingdom. And we're also going to have scepters on top of that. And we're going to be kings of who? We're going to be kings of the people, which is referencing all the Gentile nations. Okay, and we're going to honor wisdom on top of that. Yeah, we're going to seek wisdom. You doggone Skippy, we're going to seek wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore. So verse 21 is making it very clear that wisdom of Solomon 6 is talking about the 144,000 kings of Revelation 7. It's making it very clear because it talks about the kings, the 144,000 kings of the Gentiles that's going to be ruling under Yahawashi, is saying that we're going to rule forevermore. But the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and a wise king is upholding of the people. When it says a wise king is upholding of the people, that's talking about the Israelites. But the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world. This is talking about the multitude of the kings is the welfare of the Gentiles. In other words, we're the caretakers of the Gentiles under Yahawashi. And a wise king is the upholding of the people, the upholding of the Israelites. In verse 24, the 144,000 kings are going to be caretakers of the Gentiles and also caretakers of the Israelites under Yahawashi. The 144,000 kings of Israel is going to be caretakers of the Gentiles. The welfare of the world, that's the caretakers of the Gentiles. And a wise king is upholding of the people. That means that we're also going to look out and uphold the nation of Israel as well. So it looks like we're going to be busy. And all of this, Wisdom of Solomon 6, all of this goes back to Psalm chapter 2, verse 10. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth, ye judges of the Gentiles. Now, the 144,000 kings being the welfare of the Gentiles, what that means is we're going to be a blessing to the Gentiles. That's what it means. It means that the 144,000 kings are going to be a blessing to the Gentiles. Really, the nation of Israel as a whole is going to be a blessing. But in this verse, it's saying that the 144,000 kings are going to be a blessing to the Gentiles. Now, all of this goes back to Psalms chapter 2, verse 10. We understand from Psalm chapter 2, verse 10, that in Wisdom of Solomon 6, the 144,000 kings are going to be blessings to the Gentiles. But I'm going to show you something else that the 144,000 kings are going to be also to the Gentiles. Revelation 17. Revelation 17, verse 14. Okay? Yahawashi is Lord of lords and Kings of kings. What does that mean? Well, before we go any further, let's bring this out in Revelation 19 real quick. Revelation 19, verse 16. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of kings and Lord of lords. Okay? The King of kings, Yahawashi is King of kings because he is king of the 144,000 kings of Israel in Revelation 7. And Yahawashi is Lord of lords because he is master of the Israelite masters of the Gentiles under Yahawashi. Okay, that word Lord means master. So Yahawashi is king of the 144,000 kings, and he's master of the 144,000 masters of the Gentiles. That's what that verse is saying. Okay, to understand this verse, King of kings and Lord of lords, let's take a look at Revelation 17, verse 14. Okay, Yahawashi, thee shall make war with the Lamb. Okay, the Lamb is Yahawashi, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. You see that capital K? That's talking about Yahawashi. You see that lowercase k? That's talking about the 144,000 kings. So Yahawashi is king of the 144,000 kings. See that capital L in Lord? That's talking about Yahawashi. See that lowercase l? That is talking about the 144,000 kings. So Yahawashi is master of the 144,000 masters of all the Gentile nations. So the kings of Israel are both kings and masters of all the Gentile nations under Yahawashi. Revelation 20, verse 4. And I saw thrones. Okay, this goes back to Wisdom of Solomon 6, okay, where it mentions thrones. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them. The 144,000 kings are going to sit on thrones, and judgment was given unto them. Okay, and we're going to be judges of all the Gentile nations. Revelation 20, chapter 4, the 144,000 kings are going to sit on thrones. Okay, thrones, and we sat upon them, and we're going to sit on thrones, and we're going to judge all the Gentile nations. And they lived and reigned with Yahawashi 1,000 years. Now, the way that you're supposed to read Revelation 20, verse 4 is you're supposed to read this dealing with the 144,000 kings. You're supposed to stop at this semicolon right here, okay? And then you're supposed to finish it out at this semicolon right here. And this is how you read this verse dealing with the 144,000 kings. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, and they lived and reigned with Yahawashi 1,000 years. And that's dealing with the 144,000 kings. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is dealing with Israelites who did not believe the truth. Verse 6. Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. This is talking about when Yahawashi cracks the sky. On such the second death hath no power. But they, okay, this is talking about the men of Israel, the elect men of Israel, shall be priests of the Most High and of Yahawashi, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So In Revelation 20, verse 4 is talking about the 144,000 kings. And in verse 6 is talking about the rest of the men of Israel, who are going to be princes and priests and judges and rulers and masters and owners and officers and yeah, all of this. We're going to be all of this. So you could say that verse 4 is talking about the 144,000, and verse 6 is talking about the 1/3 Israelites. Jeremiah 51, verses 19 all the way to 24. In Wisdom of Solomon 6, it talks about how the 144,000 kings are going to be a blessing to the Gentile nations. Now, in Jeremiah 51, verses 19 through 24, is telling us how the 144,000 kings are going to be a curse on the Gentile nations. So basically, the 144,000 kings of Israel is going to be both a blessing and a curse on the Gentiles. Okay? Just like the Most High and Yahawashi is also going to be a blessing and a curse to the Gentiles. Because we are either going to bless the Gentiles or we're going to punish the Gentiles. So Jeremiah 51, starting at verse 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of armies is his name. When it says the Lord of hosts, it's meaning the Most High of armies is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee I will break in pieces the nations, and with thee I will destroy kingdoms. He's talking about the Gentile kingdoms. And when he says, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, he's talking about Jacob, the 144,000 kings of the 12 tribes of Israel. He's talking about the 12 tribes of Israel, Jacob and Israel. Verse 21, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider. That's talking about military equipment on the ground, such as a tank and his driver. And with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. That's talking about military jets and the men who fly them. Okay? The military jets and their pilots. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman. Okay? Gentile men and Gentile women. And with thee will I break in pieces old and young. Senior citizen Gentiles and young Gentiles as well. The Most High isn't a respecter of persons. And with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid, young sons and young daughters. The maid is also virgins. Okay, but you know, not too many Gentile virgins running around here right now. Verse 23, I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. That's talking about the pastor and his congregation. And with thee I will break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, the farmer and his livestock. And with thee will I break in pieces captains, that's military leaders, and rulers, that's government leaders. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea. Babylon is talking about America, and Chaldea is talking about the rich people in America. And I will render to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Most High. Okay, so we're going to see this happen because we're going to be the ones just executing this punishment on the Gentiles. The 144,000 kings are going to be both a blessing and a curse to the Gentiles. Just like the Most High and Yahawashi is also going to be a blessing or a curse to the Gentiles. This is something that the men of Israel is going to do to the Gentiles. I mean, and when I say the men, I'm talking about the Father, the Son, and the sons of Israel, all Hebrew Israelite men. So the Hebrew Israelite men of Israel, starting with the Father, then the Son, then the Hebrew men of Israel, we're going to be either a blessing or a curse on the Gentiles. meaning we're going to either bless them or punish them. We are going to either bless the Gentiles or punish the Gentiles. And this is the power that the Father, the Son, and the 144,000 kings and the men of Israel as a whole, because we're the rulers of the nation and the rulers of the Gentiles on top of that, this means that we're going to be a blessing or a curse on the Gentiles. This also extends to the nation of Israel as a whole, because even the women under the authority of the men and the children under the authority of the parents, even the children are going to be either a blessing or a curse on these Gentiles. So it's no way around it. The Gentiles do not understand the kingdom that they're coming into. They do not understand that the Israelite nation as a whole, okay? And when I say the Israelite nation, I mean the Father, the Son, and the sons, and the nation of Israel as a whole, under the rulership and authority of the Hebrew Israelite men. We're going to be either a blessing or a curse on the Gentiles, and they have yet to figure this out. Now, the Gentiles know about the Most High and his Son, but they have yet to figure out Israel's role in this thing. Some of the Gentiles understand, but most of them don't. They got no clue. Most of them don't even know who, at least in America, it seems like most of them in America don't really understand who true Israel is. And, well, we're just going to have to wait till the kingdom. And this stuff is going to be revealed to them by Yahawashi in the kingdom.
And to piggyback on what Brother Obadiah was saying, Yahawashi said that his elect will have powers, right? They're going to be able to do greater things. Matthew 21:21. Yahawashi answered and said unto them, Verily I say unto you, if ye have faith and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if ye shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. So the elect will be able to move mountains with the power. But of course, you got to have faith and be his chosen. Also in John 14, verse 12 through 14, Yahawashi tells us, Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do. He's saying basically we're going to do what he did when he was here, plus more, right? Because I go unto my Father, and whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. And if ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. And to put the icing on the cake, in Revelations 2:26 through 29 says, And he that overcometh and keepeth my works until the end, to him will I give power over the nations. This is what Yahawashi is saying. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. He's given us the same powers his Father gave him. And I will give him the morning star. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. All praise Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahawashi, Barakatah, Shalom, Israel.